It's grand final time, and that can only mean one thing. We'll be doing our first preview on this channel. We're going to be talking about what we can expect from FaZe. We're going to be talking about what we can expect from Navi. We're going to be talking about the map veto. Spoilers, I have it right there. And we're going to see what I think is going to happen, my predictions for this. Let's just straight up get into it. Now, let's start at the veto, because ultimately the veto is what will decide the rest of this game. To get into it, I think whoever bans first, in this case I've gone with FaZe, just for sake of argument. I think if FaZe get first ban, they'll probably float Vertigo over to Navi, because neither team will want to play Vertigo. So Kerrigan especially does love his haha, we don't want to play it, but neither do you go ban it maneuver, and usually it works out for him. So I'm going to have FaZe ban Dust too, because for some reason, and I feel like this might just only be in my head, I haven't necessarily got the stats to back this up, but whenever I feel like FaZe play Navi on Dust 2, they tend to not do that well. At least that's how I feel about it, right? So I have FaZe banning Dust 2 and Navi banning Vertigo, and that's going to leave FaZe to pick first. I think FaZe end up picking Inferno. FaZe's Inferno, it has been very good recently. We're going to be talking about some strats that they employed against Navi previously, and the way that they can use those again to try and maybe win something, but also how Navi can try and punish FaZe. Because Inferno is a very interesting map in this series for me, and we'll get into that later. I think Navi's punish for that will probably end up being Nuke. I think Navi's Nuke is a lot better than FaZe's right now. FaZe is not bad on Nuke. I think Navi just looks a lot more confident. FaZe tends to lose kind of shaky rounds on it. And against Movistar, FaZe had some issues getting outside from Alex in the first part of the half. So if someone like a better player on Navi holds outside, that's going to make it a lot harder for FaZe. But we'll end up seeing how that goes. I think FaZe then get Mirage. I think both teams can play Mirage. It's probably 55% leaning towards FaZe in my opinion. Mostly because I think FaZe are just more oil on the map, because Kerrigan loves his Mirage, always has. But ultimately, that's the type of map that can go either way, despite the fact that one team is a little better on it, in my opinion. Then Navi will end up going for Ancient, if I had to guess, because Navi's Ancient is just very, very good. They've pretty much won it every time they've played it. I had a while ago tweeted that I thought FaZe was the best Ancient team in the world. I think it's probably Navi now, but then again, FaZe have been looking very good on Ancient this tournament, and the very fluid Kerrigan Rain setup on B site. Jesus, those sites should be swapped. But whatever, the fluid Kerrigan Rain setup on that site is very interesting, and I want to see how Navi would deal with it. But Navi will probably pick it just because they're that good on it. And then that will just leave Overpasses or Decider, which is a very good map for a Decider, given the fact that both teams can play it, and neither is, in my opinion, amazing on it. Except for the fact that they're both amazing on every map, but that's beside the point. Now, what can we expect? I think that one of the things that FaZe should be trying to do is what they did on Inferno last time they played. This is what I was going to mention. It's the way that they manipulated Simple's rotates. Previously, when they've played Navi, FaZe have had one game especially where they very, very effectively punished Simple's rotational tendencies by manipulating their util usage to perfectly position Simple for the way that they were going to execute later in the round. It was very effective because Simple played the arch rotate, and he has to be the first man to support on both sides. So by using their util, they managed to isolate Simple very effectively and basically leave him out until the retake. And as the AWPer on a retake, despite how amazing Simple is at hitting stupid shots, you are inevitably not as effective as you would be in a normal round situation. And I'd love to see FaZe try and do something similar, because Simple does play a couple of those positions where rotations are key. Less so than I think he used to. I think that's probably part of why. But it's going to be interesting to see if FaZe can exploit that. I think FaZe have been very good in recent finals at isolating star players on certain maps. I think back to Nico on the against G like with FaZe against G2 in Katowice, the way that they completely destroyed his palace presence. If you know that a star player on an opposing team is going to be doing something very consistently, someone like a Kerrigan with Inner Shine as the analyst, they definitely have a platform to try and counter it. So on Inferno, especially, I'd like to see it because that map has the more, rotational play. But it's going to be interesting to see on every map because if FaZe can isolate Simple, that's ultimately the key to win. The only other option is that Brokey goes back to Katowice level Brokey, and he was very good against Movistar. So I'm not, saying it can't happen, but it will have to be, an amazing performance from Brokey if they do want to beat Simple without also tactically outplaying Simple. Speaking of tactically outplaying, I'm going to be very keen to look out for what Electronic's going to do to try and counter Kerrigan. I think Electronic's a very smart man, but like I said on the podcast, I think the ultimate real IGL of this team is Blade. And the on-the-flight calling is probably split between Electronic and Simple, with Electronic taking 60% or a little more of it. I want to see how they deal with Kerrigan, because in my opinion, Kerrigan's the GOAT IGL. And I think, well, no, I don't think, I know Kerrigan has an amazing record in Grand Finals. He performs his best Counter-Strike in those games. So we're going to see how that goes. If Electronic can keep up with Kerrigan's on-the-fly calling, or his prepared calling, both of which are very good, which basically means he's just a very good IGL, that means that in my Electronic is going to be a unbelievable IGL for years to come if he can manage. We're going to see how it goes because I don't necessarily think that Electronic is going to be able to perfectly counter everything that Kerrigan throws out. It's also why I put that little graphic right there, Kerrigan versus Electronic. It's because that's the real battle here. Star for star, FaZe and Navi, I think Navi probably take it a little more than FaZe do, but they're both very good and can have stupid plays. I think Robs especially on Inferno, the way that he deals with apartments is one of the most insane plays in the world, the way he does it so consistently. If you want to improve at that, watch his demos. I'm very curious to see how that matchup, Kerrigan Electronic, goes. Now, for my predictions, I think FaZe win this. I think FaZe have the IGLing edge and the history of being able to shut out stars, which probably put them in a 60% favored position for this final. I don't think it'll be easy. Might just end up being a 3-2, but could ultimately be a 3-1 as well. Just because I think a lot of these maps are very 50-50 split. Navi will probably take either Mirage or Ancient, if I had to guess, if it goes to them. Well, yeah, it will, but yeah. So I think FaZe take this 3-1 or 3-2, probably 3-2. Yes, definitely 3-2. I should probably stick to one prediction, huh? FaZe will take this 3-2. It took a moment to think about, but FaZe will take this 3-2. Navi is going to make it very difficult for them. I think Simple's going to have some very good showings, but ultimately in most rounds, FaZe might be able to shut him out, which is very important. And yeah, that's my predictions for this. That's my preview for this. If you did enjoy this, do hit the like button. If you want to be updated for more videos, hit the subscribe button. I'll be bringing out higher quality content as time goes on. The game starts in about an hour, so that's why this isn't as well produced as I would have hoped it to be because I kind of overslept. That does tend to happen sometimes. In the future, we'll be bringing out some demo reviews. We're going to be looking at what teams do tactically on a more in-depth scale. I'll be bringing out the top-down like demo views. We're going to go for it. But for now, this is what we've got. Hopefully you did enjoy this. If you disagree with my prediction, leave a comment. Tell me why. If you like Vertigo, don't tell me anything. You could just that's your guilty pleasure. You get to enjoy that in your private time. Don't make it my problem. Again, hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed this. Hit subscribe if you want to be updated. And thanks for watching. Hopefully we win. Bye bye.